Musk's insane new motor shocks the entire industry. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and the company's founder, has unveiled a crazy motor that surprises the entire sector. What name does the new motor go by? How does it function? Why is it upsetting the whole sector? Do any Tesla EVs that use this motor already? Could this new motor be the greatest invention to ever shake up the EV sector? Elon Musk operates on the guiding principle of improving upon yesterday. He startled the other automobile companies into making discoveries that had never even occurred to them once he started the EV manufacturing sector. As he prepares to introduce the Model 3 and Model S, he invents a brand new outrageous motor that will rock the entire EV sector. It only took 5 years after a group of gifted engineers formed Tesla in 2003 for the whole automotive industry to feel their presence and understand their argument. Since then, the world is aware of just how high-end Tesla vehicles truly are. With the world-class Model S and other cutting-edge innovations, Tesla has advanced significantly in the auto business. We all know how distinctively designed Tesla cars are, so it goes without saying that the designer went to great lengths to give the car a fantastic appearance. What about the Tesla automobile's internal mechanisms now? There must be something special about these cars that sets them apart from their competitors in the auto business, given their excellent performance. And what about that? Tesla motors contain the solution. Things will get considerably crazy now that a fresh motor is on the loose. But first, a brief overview of the history of these motors and how they differ from conventional engines would be a good place to start before we examine the inner workings of the crazy new motor. The stator and rotor, the original induction motor's two principal components, must be mentioned in any discussion of it. These are the fundamental building blocks of the induction motor, which are still applicable today. A conducting bar is short-circuited by end rings to form the rotor. The rotating armature is propelled by a magnetic field that is produced by the stator, on the other hand. This stator's special function in this situation is to transform the revolving magnetic field into an electric current. As a result, the stator receives three-phase alternating current power output. As a result, the current on the rotor bar turns due to the spinning magnetic field. Any type of EV speed and torque will be determined by this. Here is the most amazing feature of induction motors. Increasing or decreasing the amount of alternating current power supply, which is a very straightforward process, can change the rotation speed. All you need to do to make an induction motor more powerful is charge the power supply frequently. Over a century has passed since the original invention of these standard induction engines, and they are now more advanced. Tesla's early experiments used permanent magnet motors, which, as their name suggests, had permanent magnets in the rotor rather than bars. The rotor rotates as a result of the induction between the revolving magnetic field of the outer tube and the permanent magnetic field. Unfortunately, this motor is strongly opposed by one restriction. The so-called reverse EMF is caused by the permanent magnet field. This kind of EMF works against the AC, which lowers the total amount of AC supplied to the rotor. We are aware by this point that a lower AC indicates a weaker motor, so they came up with the great idea of a synchronous reluctance motor. By adding a reluctance medium that was in opposition to the magnetic field, this motor was able to overcome the magnetic resistance issue. They employed air and iron to this goal. Air has a high reluctance, while iron is widely recognized for its low reluctance. Permanent magnets were, therefore, put into the SYN-RM's air gaps for them to cooperate. As a result, the field generated by the permanent magnet was reduced by the permanent magnets aligned with the RMF. As a result, the back EMF was minimized and the majority of the torque was effectively produced at high velocities. The motor was therefore ideally adapted to function at high speeds. Tesla, however, made the decision to combine the PMM and the SYN-RM to create a considerably more potent motor. The two motors worked brilliantly together, ensuring lower eddy currents, lower resistance, lower energy losses, and thus more power. It's interesting to note that Tesla came up with a few innovations for their new motor that would set the Roadster apart. Elon Musk was gracious enough to divulge their technique. He clarified in a tweet that Tesla automation was used to wind a fiber over the rotor at a high-tension load machine. He also said that because copper loosens at low temperatures, the carbon sleeve compresses the copper rotor to lessen differential expansion. Then, using preload to maintain a precise spacing with the stator, they tested this technique. Naturally, these motors had a bigger perk that would help humanity in the long run. These motors, as opposed to conventional engines, can produce more power and speed without polluting the environment with toxic gases. Speaking of power, Tesla's new insane motor can spin at speeds between 0 and more than 18,000 RPMs. Since the motor hasn't yet been given a better finish, it's anticipated that it will spin at speeds of up to or more than 23,308 RPMs. That's not an easy feat, considering that Tesla would have more power and speed than the fastest supercars in the world, like the Bugatti Chiron, at such RPMs. A Tesla automobile might reach a top speed of nearly 200 miles per hour if it was over 23,308 RPMs. Anyone traveling at such an insane speed may require special medications before setting off. As the car moves, your surroundings will blur into merely colors and shapes, and the road will appear to be swallowed by the car, making it very difficult for you to register what is going on around you. Tesla nevertheless advises against maintaining such speed limits because doing so runs the danger of destroying the motor. Therefore, they only suggest a 180 mph limit for the time being. However, in the near future, engineers will create vehicles that can go at 200 miles per hour without fear of damage. The carbon-wrapped plaid pattern engine, according to Elon Musk, is likely the most sophisticated one ever made outside of a laboratory. The new motor required a lot of work, some of which Musk claimed they had to keep under wraps. Otherwise, it appears that the tech tycoon's company has a ton of ideas for boosting the torque and maximum RPMs for the new Roadster. The automobiles that will accompany the Roadster will undoubtedly be extraordinary. In the auto sector, Elon Musk is simply being himself and doing what he does best. That serves as a reminder that the Tesla emblem is recognized all over the world and cannot be disregarded. Musk attests that the same company that created SpaceX logo was also responsible for creating the Tesla logo under the renowned Franz von Falshausen, the former director of design for Mazda. He eventually rose to the position of chief designer at Tesla, where he had a greater influence than only the company's emblem. You might be wondering where I'm going with this, but you're about to hear something that will blow your mind. Franz von Falshausen went a step further with his design work and incorporated the Tesla logo into the electric motor's cross-section. There were several hypotheses about the logo being a part of the induction motor before Elon Musk announced the news on Twitter. The illogical hypothesis was that the logo would be engraved on each component of the motor. Despite the fact that several people denied the existence of any logo on the motor, Elon Musk clarified, however, that the T was akin to a cross-section of an electric motor, just like SpaceX's X is comparable to a rocket's trajectory. With that said, we can visualize the motor that will completely transform the auto industry. We all know how much Tesla enjoys enhancing the dynamics of each of its vehicles, and this one was no different. In fact, upgrading the battery was necessary in order to improve the motor. This was made possible by the battery technology's efficiency.